Thank you very much, Sarah. Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend, and as Sarah said, all refreshed for this new week of discussions at the Assembly. My name is Mekki, and I'm in charge of operations and planning at the Global Aviation Training Office. So the official title is the Introduction to the ICAO Training Portfolio. But as you're going to see throughout the presentation, what we're mostly going to be speaking about are providing solutions to your training challenges. And we know there are a lot of training challenges out there faced by ICAO member states, and ICAO, through its Global Aviation Training Office, can provide some solutions to fulfill the needs of the member states. A survey was conducted in 2015 by ICAO on the needs and expectations of ICAO member states. And out of all the questions that were asked, especially the open-ended questions, training was the word that was the most usually referred to in the answers. So we know that the states are expecting support from ICAO in terms of training. As you can see, there's other words in this word cloud, like USOAP, like technical cooperation, assistance, safety, security, capacity building, but training overshadows all the other words that were referred to in the survey. In terms of challenges out there that are being faced right now by states, we know that there are a lot. For example, a lot of states have issues by adequately identifying the trainings that they have. Either they're not adequately promoted, either they're not adequately communicated to the target audiences. We also know that there's a lot of issues with training organizations establishing training procedures manual or quality management systems, which are two very important aspects in the development and delivery and operations of training. We also know that there's issues in not recording training. Who passed, who failed, where are the certificates, how are the certificates stored? Another main issue that we're seeing is funding. There's some great aspirations out there. We want to revolutionize the way training is done, but you know what? There's issues with funding. We don't have the money, or the Civil Aviation Authority is not providing enough funding, or whoever the authority that the training center is reporting to is not providing enough funding. Or, for example, we deliver training and there's not enough registrations to cover the costs of training. So financial issues are big issues. Also, another big issue that we're seeing is that the required competencies for current jobs and tasks are not properly identified. These are issues related to training and qualification of current staff. Training challenges. So I know I've met with Tonga, I met with the Cook Islands, we have somebody from Saudi Arabia, we have other representatives here of other states. What are some of the training challenges you are facing? Somebody last Thursday in the previous workshop said, hey, we're having issues finding instructors. We don't have enough instructors in the roster. Do you have any issues that you are facing in your state? And maybe we'll discuss it throughout this workshop this morning. Any ideas, any questions, any challenges? Okay, well, hopefully during the presentation we'll get some ideas out there. So ICAO, what it does is it provides effective training solutions to the challenges of member states. So this is a small arrow which shows an itinerary of how the ICAO Global Aviation Training Office can support the challenges of states. So as you can see from the start, we start with training challenges. And this is when the member state comes to ICAO and says, okay, ICAO, I need your support. The first thing we will do is we will be enhancing the capacities of training organizations. Training organizations are the training suppliers of the state. So we work with training organizations to enhance their capacities. We have a protocol questionnaire of about 250 questions based on several ICAO documents, for example, Annex 1 of the convention to the Chicago Convention, and we've derived 252 questions whereby we go to the training center and take a look at all the activities or actions that have to be undertaken to enhance the capacities of the training organization. Once a training organization is fully operational, whether it's with its documents, with its staffing, with its the way it's recording its training, then we move to the second step, which is we're providing expertise and support to develop and deliver competency-based training. ICAO has developed the Trainer Plus competency-based training guide, whereby the states can use this guide to develop training in a standardized way and in a competency-based way. So we provide the states and the training organizations with this support to develop and deliver this training. And once the second step is done, then we move to the third step, as indicated in the arrow, where we provide access to these training organizations, to a global training network to share training, because we know that there's a lot of demand for training, and sharing it is the best way out there in order to fulfill all the needs. So we provide a global training network to share and deliver cost-effective standardized training. Keep in mind the word cost-effective, because in one of my slides I'll be explaining to you how the training developed and delivered by the GAD office is cost-effective. Once all these three different actions are done, then we believe that you improve the performance of the training organization, but also of the trainees. So let's start with the first section of my presentation. The assessments. So we enhance capacities of training organizations through assessments. So how do we do this? We take a look at 8 different categories of the operations of a training organization. So number one, we take a look at how the training organization is organized. What is its relation with the Civil Aviation Authority? Or what is its relation with the air navigation service provider or the airport? This is the overarching authority to whom the training organization reports to. Some training organizations are private, and we have in the network of Trainer Plus members about 15% of private training organizations, but these all have some sort of governmental recognition. So we take a look at the relation with the authorities. We also take a look at how it's organized, the organogram, who reports to who's the accountable manager, and we make sure that all of that is all documented. Number two, we take a look at the training and procedures manual. How is the training organization delivering training? What are the procedures that have been implemented to ensure the effective and efficient delivery of training? Number three, we take a look at all the training programs and the way they are delivered. And then we take a look at the facilities. What are the equipment that the training organization have? I was telling one of my colleagues this morning from Saudi Arabia, I was in Saudi Arabia about a month ago conducting an assessment, and we took a look at all the equipments that the training center had, and there was a need to upgrade some of the equipment in order to respond to the current training needs out there. So we take a look at that. Number five, we take a look at the personnel. How are people hired? How are the instructors hired? Do they get refresher training? After how many years do they get a refresher training? Is that all documented? Is there a procedure for that? So we make sure that there's no improvisation throughout the process. We take a look at records. This is number 6. How are the certificates stored? What sort of mechanisms are there to store all the examinations, to see who has passed, who has failed, so that in 10 years, if somebody goes back to that training center and says, hey, did Mr. Joe Blow pass this course in 1998, they'll say, oh, okay, yes, we have a recording system and we can confirm that Mr. Joe Blow did pass the course. But a lot of training centers out there, unfortunately, do not have the appropriate recording system. Number 7, we take a look at the quality system. So how do training organizations ensure that the training is delivered based on some sort of quality assurance process? And number 8, safety management, and this is mostly for flight training centers. We make sure that all the safety management aspects are considered in the operations of a flight training school. So these are 8 categories of I would say activities that we take a look at, composed of 252 questions. We've conducted 161 assessments since 2010, and as you can see through this graph, the numbers are increasing throughout the years because we assess, but we also reassess. Every 3 years, we go to training organizations and we make sure that they still fulfill the requirements of the program or of the protocol questionnaire. And this is also a way for training organizations to ensure that they keep updated and they're all ready in terms of the reassessment process. Out of the 161 assessments, we have findings, of course, and this graph shows you what are the findings we've identified. And the majority of findings are related to the training and procedures manual and quality system. So training organizations out there are doing a good job, but they're having some issues with establishing a training and procedures manual and a quality system. So through the GAD office, we provide guidance in how to improve these 2 essential components of the operations of a training organization. And all of this is done through an electronic management system. system. So before we even go on-site to conduct the on-site assessment, we provide the training centers with a self-assessment. So they self-assess themselves before we go there. So this way there's no surprise. They know exactly what questions are to be expected. They upload all the evidences. And then when the on-site assessment actually takes place, it's just a verification and discussion process to make sure that all the self-assessment input is actually accurate or updated. Once they get an assessment report, a complete ICAO comprehensive assessment report, we believe that the training centers get this. The report provides a clear and independent evaluation of operations of a training organization. So the training organization gets a report, and then they can then go see their civil aviation authority or their air navigation service provider or their airport and saying, hey, ICAO came to us, they produced this report, this is what needs to be improved. We identify the critical areas that require improvement. We also help training organizations to justify additional funding. So through that report, we identify what needs to be upgraded, what needs to be purchased, what needs to be rationalized. And based on that, they get additional support to go see their authority and say, we need to invest in order to fulfill the current training needs and also the upcoming training needs. And last but not least, the Global Aviation Training Office will be supporting states starting early 2017 to identify their training needs through a needs assessment service. We've developed a tool, a self-sufficient tool, whereby all the states and the training centers can populate the tool and identify what are their training needs. So this was section 1. What we do is we enhance the capacities of training organizations. And once that's done, then we move to section 2, which is the training development part, because we want to support the training organizations to develop quality, comprehensive, and competency-based training material. And how do we do that? Well, we have this methodology that we provide to the training organizations. But before we start developing the training, we first need to train the people that will be developing this training. So what we first do is we train the staff or the course developers on how to develop courses. We have a 2-week training based on the ICAO competency-based training methodology to support them in the development of training. We also train instructors. We have a 2-week program, it's blended learning, 5 days online, 5 days classroom, on how to deliver training. So we provide them with all the theoretical knowledge about instructional delivery, but we also provide them with the practical aspects on how to deliver training. And last but not least, let's not forget those that manage the training. We also train the training managers, those that manage the delivery of training, but also that manage the training organization, and those that are in charge of keeping the training organization in par with the requirements, the international standards out there. So these are what we call our competency development courses. And then we move on to the methodology. So this is a graph and that shows what the methodology looks like. I won't go into details, but this is it's documented in an ICAO document 9941, whereby this methodology identifies the 3 different stages in the development of a training package. We first start with the analysis, and then we move on to the design and production of the training, then to the evaluation. And all these steps are monitored here through the Global Aviation Training Office through an online system whereby each step is validated by our team of experts. So either at headquarters or all over the world. And once the evaluation process is validated, then the training becomes a standardized training package, and it's approved by ICAO, and it's uploaded in a library whereby the whole network has access to this training. And this is where the word sharing of training comes by, because this training is made available to everybody. And I'll get into that in a couple of minutes. And as I said, this methodology is documented in a guide, document 9941, and is available if you'd like to have a copy today. And all of our training centers that are recognized by ICAO, and there's close to 100 now, use this document to develop ICAO harmonized training packages that are validated by ICAO. The whole process of developing courses is done in an online system, and I won't go into details, but this shows you that every step of the development process is undertaken through the Trainer Plus electronic management system. So the upload of the course material, the selection of experts, the selection of validators, everything's done here. And this is very efficient, not only for us, because we have access to this 24/7, but also to the training organization, because they know 24/7 at which stage they're at of the development of the training. And everything's stored and recorded on a live basis. And this has made our lives much easier, because this was not done 5-6 years ago. This is a new system, and everybody's now on board on this and developing their training through this process. Once the courses are developed, then they're integrated in the ICAO Global Aviation Training Catalog, which is our comprehensive catalog of courses. And we have courses in aerodromes, in air navigation services, in air transport, environment, flight safety and safety management, security and facilitation, and competency development. And as of today, the number keeps changing every 3-4 days, because every 3-4 days we get another course that has been developed. We have 129, if I'm not mistaken, training packages. But this number may change by the end of this week. And this is thanks to the contribution of the training centers. So this is our catalog, updated twice a year, available on our website and through a search mechanism we have in the Aviation Training directory. Now that we have developed courses, we move to the third part, which is I believe the most interesting part of the whole training solutions that we provide at ICAO. Because we've developed in the last 4 years a global network of training organizations that develop, share, and deliver training. And how do we do this? Well, we do this through the Trainer Plus program. What is the Trainer Plus program? Well, the Trainer Plus program is a cooperative global network of training centers which implement a standardized methodology. And this is a key word here, standardization of training. Years ago, you had courses developed in El Salvador, and then you go to a neighboring country, in Costa Rica, for example, and they're developed very differently through a different methodology. And then you had courses developed in Korea, which were developed very differently than the way they were done in Japan. So what we have done is we've provided a methodology to standardize the development of training. So this way, everybody can speak the same language in terms of course development. So if you're in Korea and you develop your course based on the standardized way, when you go see your Japanese colleagues, they'll say, oh, we've developed the course in the same way as you, so we can use it because we know how you've developed your course. It's based on a standardized methodology. The second thing about the Trainer Plus program is that it's a cooperative global network which facilitates the sharing of competency-based courses. How do we do that? Well, once the course is validated, it's uploaded in a system, and all the network of training centers can click on the course and download it and deliver it. So let's say you are in Saudi Arabia and you need a course on search and rescue services. You need that course. Why will you spend tens of thousands of dollars in developing that course when it already exists and it was already developed based on this standardized methodology? And all you need to do is, through a couple of clicks, download it and deliver it in your state. Of course, you'll have maybe to adapt it to your local regulations, adding, what the Saudi regulation says about search and rescue. But 90% of the training material is there. All you need to do is download it. And not only is the training material there, you also have the instructor guides. So what the instructor uses to guide him or her every minute of the course delivery of what he or she has to say or what he or she has to do. But you also have the PowerPoint presentations, you have the examinations, you have the feedback forms. All of that is contained in a package which can be downloaded through the system. So this is the whole sharing part. And we see the sharing happening more and more often. I have to say, it was tough at the beginning because a lot of training organizations are not used to sharing training. They're only used to delivering their own training. And it was very tough for them to understand the concept of, I have to use somebody else's training. How will it be like? But this is becoming more and more, I would say, common in the network. And then the Trainer Plus program members also have the benefit of delivering the ICAO recognized packages. So you have two categories of training packages in the portfolio. You have those training packages that belong to the training centers that are members of the program, but you also have training packages that belong to ICAO. But those are available to be delivered by all the training organizations. And we have some great courses out there, either in safety management, either in security, in facilitation. Those courses belong to ICAO, but are made available to the whole network to be delivered. In terms of membership, and this number also changes almost on a weekly basis, we have 92 training centers that are members of the Trainer Plus program throughout the whole continents or regions. 51% of them are based in the Europe and Asia Pacific area, because Asia Pacific, as you know, that's where the aviation is booming. The Middle East also, we have 12 training organizations in there, and that's also one of the most rapidly expanding regions of the network. We also have different categories, and I won't go into details as to what categories represents. We have a brochure in our booth which explains this. But what needs to be highlighted here is that out of these categories, we have 21 regional training centers of excellence, and these are the leading members of the program, or leading training centers overall in the world, which develop and deliver courses on behalf of ICAO. And all of these also are scattered throughout all the regions. We've invested a lot of time, a lot of resources in an electronic management system whereby all of our processes are integrated in the system. And I always tell my bosses, in a couple of years, you will replace all of us here by this system, because you won't need any human beings anymore to deliver the training, because everything's done in this system. What we have in this system is, of course, the membership application process, which is the first step. We also have the development part of training. So if you want to develop a training, you do it through this system. Hosting courses, if you want to apply to host courses, you do it through this system. If you want to exchange your courses with other members, you do it here. Once you deliver your course, you produce certificates. Well, the production of certificates is done through the system also. When you want to select a validator to validate your course, or an instructor to deliver your course, we have rosters of instructors which are updated on a regular basis in the system. We also submit trainee questionnaires. Once the course is finished, automatically the system sends to the trainees, hey, what do you think of the course? What went well? What did not go well? How was the instructor? How was the classroom environment? What can be improved? And this information for us is extremely important, because we keep it and we know which course needs to be improved based on the feedback. We are also now providing the members of the program online registration links, which are automatically generated through the system. So every time they host an ICAO course, we provide them with an online link that they can provide in their end to their states, or to their people in their region or in their state, so that they can register online. And last but not least, we're currently working on a post-training evaluation process, whereby we've developed a methodology to identify what is the impact of the training on the trainees. So has this training been effective? Did they learn something? Has their performance at work improved? And how do we do that? That we send a series of surveys to the trainees, but also to the supervisors of the trainees after 3 months, after 6 months, to ask them, okay, Mr. Supervisor or Mrs. Supervisor, you sent your people to this specific training. Has their performance increased? Have you solved the issue you were trying to solve by sending them to this training? And this for us is something that is extremely important, because the members of the Trainer Plus program asked ICAO, please help us identify the impact of the training on the trainees and on the work environment. So all of this is done through the system. And then we have our library in the system. So the library in the system lists all the courses that we have. So they can be selected, as I said, through a couple of clicks. But we also have a fee matrix for each course. And this is in line with what I have referred to as the cost-effective aspect of the program. What do I mean by cost-effective? Well, I'll give you an example. In the fee matrix here, you can see all the costs of training packages, the standardized training packages that can be purchased by the members. So let's say, for example, the training center wants to purchase a 1-week course. And let's say the cost is $3,000 of the course. So this is the cost of the delivery of the course. So they spend $3,000. 75% of that goes to the owner of the course, so which is very often the trainer plus member, and 25% goes to the system for administrative processing. So the training center purchases the course for $3,000, and then they register 20 people at $1,000 each. So that means $20,000 of revenue. So by paying the course $3,000, they're left with $17,000 of revenue. And then they have to pay costs of the instructor, costs of, other additional costs, coffee breaks, lunch breaks, whatever. And let's say $7,000 that would cost them. So that's between the instructor costs, the coffee breaks, etc. That's $7,000. The cost of the course is $3,000. So that's $10,000 of costs. And they've registered 20 people at $1,000 each. So that's $20,000. You subtract $10,000 of costs. So they're left with $10,000 of quote-unquote profit surplus, which can be reinvested in other training. So what I referred to at the beginning of the presentation as cost-effective, this is what I meant. The standardized training packages in the system are very affordable because we would like the members of the program to deliver them and to, of course, recoup in terms of their investment in the program. If a training center does this 3 times a year, then you do the math. You're left with, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 of possible surplus, which can be reinvested in the program. I know money is an issue out there, so we've came up with ways in order to have this program win-win for all the stakeholders in the program. So this gives you an idea of how we're exchanging these courses and what are the costs involved. Members that are exchanging STPs, well, on a regular basis, we have members that connect to the system and download the STPs of other training centers. And these are logos of some of the Trainer Plus members that have actually benefited from the delivery of the standardized training packages, and they've done this on a regular basis. The most popular STP we have out there was developed by the Sudan Academy of Civil Aviation, and it's on aircraft marshalling. And this was used very often in Saudi Arabia, thank you very much, but also in other states, whereby this course was actually needed. So these are all very technical courses, 3, 4, 5 days, and they're used all over the world. We have an aviation training directory, which we're currently enhancing. It exists, but we're all increasing the features to this directory, whereby we list all the recognized courses of ICAO, but also all those that are not recognized. And thanks to this directory, member states can locate courses that they need either in their state or in their region. But we can't do this alone. We need the support of training organizations out there to populate this directory. So this way we have a central database which lists all the trainings that are available around the world. Last but not least, we try to communicate as much as possible through our course catalog. We have an ICAO website, which is regularly updated. We have newsletters that come out every quarter to inform the global aviation training community of all our training initiatives. We are very present on social media, on Facebook and LinkedIn. We have a couple of thousand followers, which is great. We also have a training report that comes out twice a year, and we have copies in our booth. So we try to keep try to keep our members and the training community as much as possible informed of all our activities. So just to conclude, we started with training challenges. That was the start of the presentation, so everybody has challenges out there. The first step that ICAO can do to support training centers and member states with their challenges is to enhance the capacities of training organizations. Once that's done, then we provide expertise and support to develop training. Once that's done, then we provide access to a network of training organizations whereby the training centers can share cost-effective training. And once that's done, we know that the performance of these training organizations as well as states have increased. So please visit our website for updated information on our activities. And I'm now ready to take your questions. Thank you very much.